Tan Sri Haji Abu Kassim bin Mohamed is the former Director General of Malaysia's National Center for Governance, Integrity, and Anti-Corruption under the Prime Minister's Department. He began his public service career in 1984 as an investigation officer with the Anti-Corruption Agency and went on to serve as Deputy Director General for Operations and later as Chief Commissioner of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission from 2010 to 2016. Tan Sri Abu Kassim has contributed to numerous international anti-corruption initiatives, including the Interpol, the International Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities, and the Sheikh Tamim Al Thani Anti-Corruption Excellence Award. He also serves as an advisor at the International Anti-Corruption Academy in Vienna. He is currently the founder and chairperson of the Perdana International Anti-Corruption Champion Foundation and chairman of Alam Flora Sendirian Berhad. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, please join me in welcoming Tan Sri Abu Kassim Mohamed.
Thank you, Andrew, and the organizer. I know that I have about half an hour to make a presentation, and after that, there's going to be a question and answer. I will, within this half an hour, I will share with you what I believe that very important in sharing our experience, how I go about in dealing with one of the most or the biggest case of corruption in the world, which involve about 42 billion ringgit of Malaysia. And before that, allow me to give an honor to our friend, Franz-Hermann Bru ner, who is I know him because he was together with me in Interpol expert group on corruption, which we give advice to Interpol on creating a global standard in managing integrity in the law enforcement. And we have come up with the global standard best practices on how to deal with managing corruption in the law enforcement. Especially, we developed a proactive investigation methodology, which is very, very crucial because when you deal with corruption in law enforcement, the blue shield is very, very thick, and it's very difficult for you to break it if you do not use proactive investigation, especially doing undercover operation, or what we call it in integrity testing. So he was together with me, late Bruno, and also he was also the steering committee for the formation of International Anti-Corruption Academy, where I was involved in the developing of the curriculum of the academy, especially on the investigation and operation perspective. He was the group that really pushed for the formation of the International Anti-Corruption Academy now in Vienna, and where I was later appointed as the vice president of the board of governance, and until today I'm still teaching on the same subject that I'm going to share with you. Again, about 1MDB, as I said to you, is one of the biggest, and what I'm going to tell you is about how we face impunity, how we deal with impunity, dealing with where very hostile environment when you started the investigation and you have to go through everything. And what most important that I wanted to share with you, how we're able to bring back nearly 70% of those money that lost, about 30 billion ringgit, or out of 42 billion ringgit, it's about more than 10 billion US dollar, then 70% of the money we're able to bring back to Malaysia. And 1MDB, as you know, that is a company that is owned by the government of Malaysia for development, for the people. But unfortunately, the money was stolen for the benefit of certain people. I would say that the former prime minister was the main target of our. And 1MDB is about how we deal with impunity. where it's so important to create a confidence level from the public. If you do not deal with the impunity, any anti-corruption organization or investigation organization, you will not gain any public confidence and public support. Because public support, public confidence, and trust is the most fundamental element in any organization that deal with investigation and enforcement. So that's why I wanted to share with you how we started the investigation and how the mechanism that we have, the mechanism that we have that we wanted to clean, suddenly become a machine that attacked us back. Not only within our organization, but also the organization that's supposed to be together with us, been used to attack or to be against us. Allow me just to explain to you how we started, because MACC was formed way back in 1959, and we one of the oldest anti-corruption agency in the world. Of course, during our journey, there is up and down. In 1982, we were praised by the public and been called as the Organization of the Year in 1982 because of our excellent work. But after that, it went down. It went down, then what the problem that we're facing after that, the investigation taking so long, most of the investigation take about nearly 1 year, and there are investigations take 3 years, and most of the investigators doing their work in silo. They do not have friends to be together with them in the investigation, and because of that, it takes so long of time, and because of that also, the element of surprise, which is so important in the investigation, is not there. You can imagine, in one case, the accused person called MACC officer, when do you want to come and interview me? So the investigator becomes surprised rather than the person that we investigate. So this is very crucial because the system, the approach that we are doing is not at par with the contemporary investigation methodology. So that it is very time-consuming and weak in silo, and we do not use the method of what I believe that has been done by many excellent investigation body. We do not use team-based investigation. The technology, the forensic accounting, we're having a problem of to get people who have strong accounting background, especially accounting, forensic accounting, because we send our staff to study, doing master and PhD in forensic, but come back, nothing much different. So I tell you how we overcome all this situation, and what most important, most of our investigations are reactive. We wait for people to come. In certain corruption, you cannot, especially corruption, syndicated corruption. If you wait for complainant to come, bye-bye and goodbye, because you won't get the culprit. You know that everybody talking about it, and what you say, unfortunately, people will not come and report about it. Nobody will come because both parties are happy. How can they come to you and report and both parties are happy? No way. So you must use the reactive investigation. So we understand and we start our reform. The management believe after we look back at our performance, and what most important was, at that particular time in 2009, we discovered that the public confidence towards the Anti-Corruption Commission was the lowest in the history. About 31% public believe that we perform. More than nearly 70% do not have confidence with the organization. So we reform. The area of reform was first on we looking into proactive investigation, an intelligence-based investigation. We look into private sector investigation because Malaysia has transformed into a country where we privatize about 200 activities and services from the government to private sector. So these are big areas that we have to focus. If not, the corruption level cannot be controlled. So we start intensively put our capacity on investigation on the private sector. We're looking into the forensic accounting. I brought one of the big four head or director of forensic department to my organization. Of course, it's very expensive, but to be good, you must pay very heavy financially. You have to get involved to make sure to get the budget and pay them. At least you can get the good brain of those who are very skillful. I bring a lot of private sector people join the organization. It's very crucial because conventional structure, normally they don't allow private sector to join government. The government wanted to grow from low rank and become the chief. Only government officer can be the chief and also head of department. But I put a stop to that. I said, look, we have to bring everybody. Those are experts, we bring them in. We make some reform. We work together very strongly with the legal, and we have some legal reform where we change the character of investigation rather than Commonwealth country normally. If you are investigator, you complete your investigation, then you give to the DPP or the Attorney General. We have to break this tradition because no way anymore when the legal and the prosecutor and the investigator work differently. We have to bring together to make sure that the prosecutor and the investigator work from the beginning and to make sure that he designed the investigation so that the investigation will be effective. We redo on the complaint management. We're looking back of the management of whistleblower and complainant and so on. And lastly, we introduce the most important changes in the organization is about team-based investigation. We put aside work in silo because team-based investigation, you will look afterward how important team-based investigation to cut the time of investigation. More than half of the investigation time can be reduced if you use team-based investigation. These are the operations, the changes that we itemize item by item, what are the areas that we need to reform. And it takes me about nearly 5 years to totally reform the whole organization, and we get the result. Immediately after 5 years, you can see the result immediately where the public confidence and there is a praise and also recognition from the international community about what we have done in line with the reform that need to be done in the law enforcement. The confidence level from 31% is shoot up in 2016. After 2019, 2016, it grew up to 76%. Then after that, it grew up, we break the 80% confidence level. You can see it's a real tangible changes happen in the organization. You can feel the public have trust on you. And due to the changes are real, the reform are real. The reform is not because of we wanted to tell the public, we wanted to make changes, but it is a real reform, but it's very difficult to manage it. Again, in terms of conviction level, previously we get conviction level only 54%. In 2009, after all the transform, it goes to more than 85% of the conviction level. Of course, we have a lot of work to be done. A lot of communication with the certain institutions have to be done. And what most important, previously, as I said, most of our cases beyond 1 year to complete. After the transformation, most of the cases in 2013, 88% of the cases complete within 6 months. And in 2014, nearly 94% of the cases complete within 6 months. And this is, immediately you can see how team-based investigation really have a great impact on the period of investigation in the organization. And this is very crucial. In 2008 and 2009, a lot of report on brutality against anti-corruption officers. This is very, very bad. We reform, we make the process of investigation in certain aspect transparent, especially when we deal with the accused person. Previously, the investigator interrogate or take statement, whatever they call it, and nobody knows, only him and the person that under investigation. And after that, there are a lot of confession, but the confession cannot be used because immediately when they went out from MACC office, they went to the police station, and they said that they've been forced to make the confession. Due to that, there are a lot of complaints, and this is advice from the lawyers. Please make complaint to the police so that your confession will not be used in court. We make it very, very transparent. We put all the videos, all the communication, all the statement taking are recorded clearly, and we give them one copy of the recording process. And suddenly, no more. It won't be a reason for them to make a report to police that they've been tortured to give a confession. So the real challenge of all this reform, when we started to investigate 1MDB, where all the expertise, all the changes, we have been tested, either we can do it or not. As you know that previously we are very conventionally investigate, but now we have a strong organization. But during the first phase of our investigation, this is very, a lot of similarity. I would say that you are also the champion for anti-corruption. When you fight corruption, the corrupt fight back. The system, I remember, we faced a lot of problems. We faced with harassment, transfer out, arrest of MACC officer was arrested by the police. I have a very sleepless night. Refusal to give document. A lot of organization, a lot of party that feel that indeed when I started to investigate, we formed a task force. The task force consists of the Attorney General Office, the public prosecutor itself, and me together we co-chairman, and also the central bank governor. Because it started when the central bank governor discovered that more than 600, about 2.6 billion ringgit of money went to the prime minister account, or about, I think, 861 billion US dollar went to the prime minister account. That's huge. Then the governor called me and said, Abu, this is something that really worrying me. I got an information about this amount of money came to the prime minister. Are you willing to investigate? I said, yes, why not? Are you sure? I said, yes, I'm very sure. I'm not sure that you are sure. You know why? Because I gave it to another law enforcement agency for 2 months, nothing happened. Are you sure? I said, yes, I will prove to you. Then immediately, the central bank governor, and the attorney general sit down in the office saying that we must form a task force, the new methodology of investigation. We cannot work in silo. So because we worried about the security, I brought the head of security, who are the police, to be together with us. So the 4 parties, we sit together and we started the investigation of 1MDB. But unfortunately, the parliament, the cabinet questioned our formation. This task force is illegal. The government never recognized and never approved for the formation of this task force. Then I answered to them, there's no such thing as illegal, because we just combine our effort and together we investigate one case that's very important for the country. We do not need any consent from the cabinet, from the prime minister. We do not need that consent. It is our jurisdiction. We wanted to investigate. But that is one of the challenges that we are facing. Of course, from time to time, as has been shown, that there is one case where my own DPP, my officers, was arrested in 12 midnight. While they are going to sleep with the children, then the another law enforcement broke into the house and bring like our officers are terrorists, then he brought in, and 2 of my officers had been transferred out. And there are so many other things. I don't think so I will reveal in this. And again, in early 2016, the new Attorney General has made a decision to close the case. As you know, that one of the hurdles that we face, the Attorney General that worked together with me to form the task force was terminated. the central bank governor was not extended. The police in charge of security was transferred for a cold storage post and leaving me alone. And I don't stop, my friend. I don't stop because I think as long as the offense is there, I continue. That's why I continue the fight. And I know if I work domestically, I may have a problem. I work because under the law, if I discovered new information, I can reactivate the investigation without referring to anybody. And because of that, I bring the investigation, some of the evidence, important evidence, and my whistleblower and also witnesses go and deal with my counterpart in US. We have a very good networking over there. When we secure all the evidence, they give me all the evidence, and I give them all the needed evidence, and I confirm when DOJ make a public conference, a press conference saying that they are investigating, and it's one of the largest case in the world, and this is about the officer number 1 in Malaysia and all that. Then the reporter asked me, did MACC work with them? I said, yes, I work with them. They said, why you work with them? Do you get any permission with the government or the AG and all that? I said, look, we are the signatory of United Nations Convention Against Corruption. It is a binding document. Cooperation between the agency with the agency is my power. It's my power because that is stated very clear, sharing of information. Of course, when you wanted to go for a mutual legal assistance, you have to go through all the process. But sharing of information is very crucial. I said, I share the information. I don't go against any procedure where we bypass the mutual legal assistance. Of course, then because of that, because of the cooperation with the FBI, one of the biggest cases in the world managed to be, and all the property asset in the US has been freezed by the American authority. Indeed, the American authority, when they make a press conference and the FBI makes the press release, they said that the cooperation between Malaysia and MACC and them are very, very good, and the will that we have in the Anti-Corruption Commission are very, very strong. What most important here, the top management have a full unity in ensuring that we work fully with the other authority. But unfortunately, I have to resign. Of course, you have to resign. There's no way to go anywhere at that time. And again, after my resignation, the investigator who gave evidence in 2024, they said that the person who took over my place actually have a mission to make sure that the case is closed. But again, as I said, at that particular time, domestically, I have nowhere to go, but I resigned after I done my responsibility. I gave all the needed evidence and whistleblower, sharing whistleblower and so on, to our friend in overseas. Again, leaving MACC during the big crisis is not easy. But sometimes you have to leave it to save the whole organization. Let them attack me, it's okay, but they do not attack and dismantle the whole organization. I want the organization to be intact. I know that if I stay, it may cost the whole organization. So the leaders have to go for a while so that we can come back and fight back. I'm very happy in 2018, when the new government was set up, I was called back to lead the task force, the new task force, because the old task force was dismantled by the previous government. So I started to have the task force. All those has been terminated. The former AG has been called back. The police officers who supported us have been called back. And the new chief commissioner, who was my deputy, who resigned together with me, also came back and lead the investigation. And these are the group that started investigation within few months. Within few months, we able to get, because of we have full cooperation with the intelligence-based investigation, intelligence information sharing, and also we work together, we form an international task force where a lot of countries to work together with us, and we have meeting all over the place in Malaysia, in Singapore, Switzerland. Also, I personally went to US and meet with all the DOJ and FBI. We try to immediately complete as soon as possible the case, because the case was there. And we are quite lucky because my officers, my investigators still keep the file intact. We don't lose the whole evidence so these are the meetings that we have with all the international. Then the benefit, of course, the collaboration is so good. We can have cross-border cooperation. Indeed, there's one case, even FBI was so shocked with us, we were able to bring back the most expensive yacht, cost about 60 billion US, if not mistaken. We take it from Indonesia within not even 1 week. We managed to get back the asset that we lost. So within 1 week, we get this purely strong collaboration with our international colleague. At the end of the day, in August 2018, the person has been charged. And until today, not only him, there are so many other people all over the world has been charged. Many, I think about nearly 10 individuals has been charged all over the world. Then what is the lesson there? Lesson there for me to share with you, first is to maintain the independence. Yesterday I saw discussion on independence of investigator. Yes, you are right. We have to maintain the independence. But remember, sometimes they control your budget. There are 3 important elements in the independence: operational independence, financial independence, and human resource independence. Sometimes they control your manpower. Sometimes they control your budget, but they cannot control your soul. Believe me. Your independence is in you. Your behavior, your action, the way you deal with the situation. You may have a small amount of money, small amount of people, but this small amount of you can make a difference with your determination of fighting corruption. It can be done. It's not something that it is very difficult. But the best is to have the 3 element independent. And international networking, I'm quite lucky because I deal with international community when I was young. And I have all my friends in all the international, the FBI, DOJ, Hong Kong, Singapore, New South Wales, and everywhere. I'm quite lucky because of that when I have a problem. And indeed, I was the vice chairman of International Anti-Corruption Authority Association. So my networking is very, very big, and I got no problem of reaching my friend when we are in trouble. Indeed, one of the countries said, come to my country and we will take care of you when, after I resign. You can become the citizen of the country later, after 5 years. And most important is on leadership. I discovered that a lot of leaders in this organization, believe me, your leadership is so crucial. You must understand the spirit and the purpose of your organization, establishing your organization. I make a study on how behavior of law enforcement based on the way they are thinking. This also been discussed in the Interpol with all my friends and my group. If you are a career-centered person, it's a big problem. Because the final decision in your life, again, will look into how I can really maintain my career in this organization. But if you believe in the principle of truth, doing the right thing, justice as a crucial element, and investigators are the last bastion in the society. People believe in you. People expected you to be their savior. And with that commitment, you will do the right thing. You will make decision what is good for the people. I was asked by my friend, Abu, it was this Prime Minister who appointed you as the Chief Commissioner. Why you bite his hand? I said, look, in this country, every 5 years, the owner of this country opened a tender for 5 years. And there are a lot of tenderers under the name of parties. You know? And the owner of this land will look at the manifesto and if that is the job spec that they're giving to us. And we give that particular company or party, and we want you, the people want you to take cash so that the contractor doing the right thing. So I am doing the work for the people, for the real owner of the country. Yes, he appointed me, but if the owner don't appointed him, he cannot appoint me. So my responsibility towards the people, a clear understanding of your vision and mission is crucial as an investigator. Invest in expertise. I saw a lot of you have been discussed on expertise and technology. This is very, very crucial. Transparency is so important for law enforcement agency, for any agency. The more you interact, the more people understand your work, the more people understand you try your best in performing your duty. Believe me, if you may have a problem, but the people will stand up. The stakeholder will stand up. The donor may will stand up. If you stand up and you do the right thing, and they know that you do the right thing. Communication is crucial. Transparency is crucial, because by having transparency and communication with them, then people realize that you are being victimized. Protect the whistleblower. Until today, the public do not know who are the whistleblower and the witnesses that I brought to US. I don't inform it because I go alone with the whistleblower. Even my own officers do not know the evidence and the whistleblower, because I know that sometimes your own officer may loosely talk to other people. That's very dangerous. So the operation, the mission that I go and get cooperation from other international institutions was done in very, very low profile. So until today, you protect. It's very, very important, because this will have an impact to the trust to your organization. If the whistleblower or the witness has been victimized, that's the last thing that will make your organization effective. The public do not have confidence, and when public do not have confidence, public do not have trust. I do not know. In 2009, I told my officer, either we reform or we close this department. If we wanted to be relevant, we must reform. We must take care of our whistleblower. Because I've done a lot of undercover operation, I make sure that my whistleblower keep until today. Only me know who are the whistleblower. And very crucial is to reflect and to check your own self. Whether you are effective of that. You have to ask question, are we effective in doing our work? Are we really have done our work to the extent that our stakeholder want it? And if not, if we need to reform, please proceed with the reform. And when you reform, there are people going to against you. Believe me, especially the old, we call it OTAI, those people who are very, very experienced in the organization. They will say that we've been doing this for 20 years. Why you wanted to change? There is a real problem. And please bring these people together with you. Ability to bring those opinion leaders in the organization who are going to challenge you. Bring them together with you, and they will make sure that your reform will happen. If you put them aside, they will become a poison. They will start poisoning the whole of your organization. Bring the reform. I don't go for structure. When I have set up the reform committee, I bring those people who have brain, who have energy, together with me. Because a lot of young people who really wanted to reform, they have great ideas. You bring them and they change. And lastly, by understanding the problem, the sacrifice of people who try to fight corruption all over the world, I persuade the Malaysian government to form a foundation, CII, CCF, And this foundation is under the Constitution of International Anti-Corruption Authority Association, Article 71, if I'm not mistaken, where we have a fund. And I'm the chairman of this fund or the foundation, where we give support to all anti-corruption officers who was victimized for doing the right thing, for doing the best job, for doing the most effective job. There are cases where all over the world, anti-corruption officers, while they're doing job rightly, been murdered. One of our DPP, of our Deputy Public Prosecutor, was killed, was murdered and put in the container. They fill in with the cement and they throw it in the river. And that is very, very sad for me. I was the chief commissioner and I said, no way, I will not allow this to happen. That's why I formed the foundation, because there's one chap in Indonesia. He was splashed with acid and 90% of his eyes was blind. So there are many, many anti-corruption officers in the world been victimized. I got one anti-corruption head was terminated immediately without pension, without any gratuities and all that. I brought him to my place. I give him salary and all that. For after 10 months, the government called back because the government thought they make a mistake. Now he is minister. Conclusion remark, ladies and gentlemen, what most important? They can take whatever from you. Then they can take action. They can take whatever necessary. They can use whatever machinery that they have in the government. They can weaponize you to the maximum using all this machinery. But one thing they cannot take from you, your soul. Please preserve your soul, and you can become the best investigator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tan Sri. To moderate the next conversation, may I please call on somebody who's not a stranger to you and to this conference, Marvin Taylor Dormond, the former Managing Director for CEIU at AIB. Marvin, please.
Colleagues, what a privilege to have Tan Sri Dr. Abu Kassim bin Mohamed with us. Andrew, thank you very much for this structure. We started with Peter, who's here with us, still with us, and we are ending with Abu Kassim. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Abu, for your reflections. This is, to my knowledge, is the largest corruption case that has been dealt with by an anti-corruption agency. It's actually, from what I have seen, it's about $10 billion that were involved in this operation, and I was impressed with what you said. You were able to recover 70%. It means $7 billion out of this operation. We can look at the picture that you have presented to us, and in this case from various angles. But I want to start by exploring this last thing that you just mentioned, and it's something that the President spoke about yesterday. To be an investigator, he said yesterday, and you have confirmed, you have to have the guts, you have to have the determination, you have to have the devotion to be an investigator. Where do you get the strength, the inspiration to do this work? You were for 40 years working on this at the MACC. What's the source of inspiration and strength to do this?
Thank you. I was a student leader when I was in the university, and my work over there was fighting corruption. And when I was offered to be an anti-corruption officer, I said, this is the best work that I'm going to do. While when you are young, you are idealism, You wanted to fight corruption, you said anything to the government and all that, now you are given an opportunity. And what triggered me in this investigation, because I have a good team. Because the Attorney General together with me, the Central Bank, my own officers, and what most important, I look at my children. I saw them because I know that due to this case, the government of Malaysia have to pay the debt until the year of 2037. It's huge amount of money, and I don't want my children bear the cost of paying back the debt. And what most important, when I take oath, when I take the post of Chief Commissioner, there is one ceremony that I have to take oath in front of the king, but the oath is not for the king, but to the God, that you will do your work without fear and favor. And justice must be your fundamental element in your work. So I'm afraid, and I believe in doing the right thing. And the right thing is the oath that I gave in front of the king and to the people of Malaysia. So that is inner feeling of what I think that I have to do the right thing in the organization. Yeah.
No, I think many of us think like that too, and we are inspired by these principles, and we teach these principles, and we promote this principle. But what happened when you are under threat personally? I know you were, you and your family. How did you react, and how did you uphold these principles of?
First, I make sure that my family understand my work. Yeah, of course, there is an effect. I think my wife having the psychology perspective, because when you have continuous phobia, anxiety, and there is a tendency effect, the psychology perspective, of course, there is the impact, and the children, of course, we are so worried, especially when after I resigned, I went to Vienna for 4 months, teaching in Vienna in the International Anti-Corruption Academy. Leaving my children at home, then we are quite worried over that. But the only things that I think that I have to pray to God, because that's the only things that can protect me from whatever. And of course, I have friends. I have friends who are really wanted to help me. Any problem that I have, they are ever willing to help. That's the only thing that I...
And security forces would protect them back home, or just God?
Of course, we have things that we arrange back home so that whatever happens immediately, there is an alert system. Then, of course, lastly, you have to pray to God. That's the only thing that you have to do. Yeah, because you are saving the country. You have 4 children, but we are talking about millions of people. Millions of people will expected you to do the right thing. If you don't do it, nobody will do it for you.
Well, this also has to do with the exercise of independence, right?
Yeah.
You spoke about independence, right?
Yeah.
You are under threat. And why would you have to act independently? It's easier to just come along, as I've seen happening in many organizations. You better accommodate.
It depends on you. You know, in human life, any individual, you have your center. Either you are career center, money center, pleasure center, spouse centers, whatever center. If you read about Stephen Covey on people who have center. I mean, you have principal center. Principal center that you believe in the mission and vision and the core value of the organization. If you are in it, you have to really understand your responsibility. And that is the center that you hold. But unfortunately, I saw a lot of my friends and also some of friends overseas. Sometimes they are so much of career-centered. When you are career-centered, you will go along because you wanted to keep your post. Or even if you self-centered, you're thinking about yourself. I'm worried about myself, so it's okay for me to give away whatever necessary as long I keep myself protected. So it depends on you. It depends on you, your belief, and your understanding. You must have a clear understanding of your role. As I said, I make a study a police officer who understands the real function, the philosophy of police, who's to serve and to protect, than the police who is in mind to serve his boss. The person who acted on believing that his role is to serve and to protect behave differently. If his mind is to serve his boss, or even his mind is only to arrest people. I always take this example, like if you're a police officer, you found that there is a long queue of traffic jam, about 1 mile of traffic jam. A different two person may react differently. Person who believes that law enforcement is the ultimate aim, he will go somewhere, then whoever break the law, he will give ticket as many as possible tickets that you want, summon as many as possible. But for the person who understands the role is to serve and to protect, he will go to the traffic light and make ease to make sure that the traffic jam reduced to the maximum. Then after that, he enforced the law. So the two perspectives of person, the same career, the person with two different perspectives, understanding, may act differently. So it depends on you. If you believe that that is your responsibility, that given to you, and I always believe that an anti-corruption officers and investigator, we are the last bastion. The public, the aspiration of the public lasts with you. There is no other person in the country that they want to give their complaint and expectation for you to solve their problem.
Yeah, around the same subject, you told me about your principle-based orientation or guidance of your work and life as well.
Yes, that is very crucial. And you, as I said, you believe in the philosophy of the organization, like MACC. We have a code of conduct, and we have a philosophy of work without fear and favor. That is the word, the mantra that we've been telling all our officers. You must work without fear and favor. Of course, sometimes there is a lot of challenge. To be frank with you, I have a lot of challenges. This is the maximum that I would say that. Along the way, 40 years, there are a lot of challenge, and one thing that I understand that law enforcement officers, investigators, you must be assertive and know how to say no. You must train yourself. There is a training program which I myself train now. Train yourself how to say no. There is a technique, an assertive communication process. But to be frank, you cannot say no to your spouse. That is the most difficult part.
Let me move to this subject that you just spoke about, training, and a subject that you touch upon here about cooperation, which is one of the things that have us here together today.
Yeah.
Right? Cooperation, the importance of cooperation in the exercise of our function.
Yeah.
We certainly believe in that. That's why we are here all together.
Yeah.
But you know, one area in which I see that it's not enough cooperation is between national agencies, like the one you led, and these agencies that we all represent here. What can we do? First, if you believe that there has to be some stronger cooperation between national and international, and what can be done in this sense?
Yeah. I give this opinion when I was in Yaka. There is a forum on all the international investigators organized by International Anti-Corruption Academy. I said, look, the only thing that you have to do first, you have to scan the whole organization, the whole country organization. They are very unfortunate. They are anti-corruption or law enforcement which are not very friendly with you. That is the reality of life. But you have to start to deal with them, to find people who are good. There must be somebody in the organization who is willing to work with you. There are two works of cooperation, one informal and one formal. But the most area that you have to go first is on informal. I work informal cooperation with a lot of law enforcement agencies. Over the phone call, I said, look, I need your help. I have one case. Can you please check? We do not need mutual legal assistance. But if they don't want to give you, please submit your mutual legal assistance. or give me a formal. We do not know yet. We need some information. And that information, by getting that information, then we can process on mutual legal assistance. So the informal cooperation, information sharing, intelligence sharing is the crucial part. So we have to scan the whole organization, whatever country you are working in, to look into somebody that you can work with. Or maybe you can go to the highest authority, give a statement of request for cooperation. Then he may find somebody in the government or an entity say that, look, you work with this guy and he will make things happen.
Oh.
I did that. I got a lot of cooperation. I give a lot of cooperation with international body and said, no need to go all the procedure. We go the procedure. We make the criminal wind. While we talking about how to fasten the process of working together, mutual legal assistance, we wanted to shorten it from 1 year to 6 months to 3 months. The criminal have done that. They wanted to shorten their cooperation, international cooperation, within minutes. So please don't make the criminal wind. So we have to break the bureaucracy and protocol for the sake of fighting the criminal. I believe in this so much.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, but there are risks as well of doing something like that. What you did here is really amazing in this case. Taking the case to the FBI, to Saudi Arabia, to Europe, to it was an amazing approach without which you would have never been able to solve the case, right? We've talked about this.
Because we are the signatory of United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and one of the elements in that under UNCAC is intelligence sharing, information sharing. That piece of document is legally binding. So we have to implement whatever we have agreed upon. So understanding of the United Nations Convention is crucial.
Well, another dimension of this is about having the same language to operate. And you spoke about training. There is the International Academy, right, on Anti-Corruption Academy that you have been involved with. You were the vice president of the board, right? And so maybe share some of your thoughts on this potential for organizations like this to cooperate with YACA.
I'm really looking forward if this association can work with the International Anti-Corruption Academy to go for tailor-made training program or even support the academy, because our speakers, our lecturers are all over the world. We bring all the experts. And there are two perspectives. One, the academician, one, the practitioner. I, together with Daniel Lee or Hong Kong and all that, we are the practitioner. So if you wanted to have a practitioner perspective, we will tailor-made toward the practitioner. For example, like a lot of organizations do not understand what is proactive investigation. When they thought that by collecting evidence, no, collecting evidence is just a starting point to look at the crime pattern. You have to go beyond that. You have to go for undercover operations. Say, look, undercover operation we cannot do it under the law. But why company, big company in US, they have mystery shopper? You have to have an understanding of the law. Whichever it can be done and cannot be done. We have to have a discussion. Whichever that allowable under the country, and this is where the cooperation with the law enforcement come in. The cooperation. I got one case, yesterday I heard that, somebody wanted to make a report, but they worried that there will be action taken against them. Yes, that is a real issue. I got one case when the businessman wanted to make a report, but he afraid of, if you make the report, there is the last business transaction that he can do. After that, he cannot do business. Because everybody will do something against his company and say, okay, it's all right. Give the money, wait until the whole process, your application, you got it, then we strike. So the law enforcement must understand. If the conventional perspective, you take the money, we arrest you immediately. Because we wanted to secure the evidence. But I said, look, you wanted to get cooperation from the public, or you wanted to go on compliance of your your process. Who are the enemies here? It's the criminal. Let it be, because we have videos. Videos are evident. Let the court make decision.
Sure. Abu, I'm sure that the audience here has many questions for you, so let's open the floor so that some of our colleagues can raise their questions, short questions, identifying yourself, please.
Okay, this one.
There you go. Please. You have a precious opportunity here to ask.
Yes, thank you very much, and amazing courage. Very admirable. My one question would be, with benefit of hindsight, after all this experience up to today, is there anything you'd have done differently?
Anything that I may...
That you would do differently, yeah, if you had to start again?
If I studied again,
Yes.
I will make sure that I take care of my family, protect them. You know, because due to that, it affects one of my family members. I will make sure that what I did, I will also think of what will happen to my family. That's the only thing. But I don't regret whatever I have done. That's the only thing that I may do some rectification. Yeah.
Please. That's why I started with this topic, Abu, because you don't talk about that, but you can tell that given the magnitude of this case and given the levels of authority that you were touching upon, there's no doubt that I don't know how you're here speaking to us today.
I feel
Literally,
relief.
I don't know how you're here talking to us.
I feel relief. I can share with you. I don't share it in Malaysia.
Please, while you, yes, please, Jean Villen, former Inspector General of EIB.
Doctor, in your very inspirational speech, you were referring to the concepts of transparency and communication, and you also mentioned accountability as important features to build trust in organizations. We are here working for MDBs and associated organizations. How would you see these terms to be translated in the way that these organizations should communicate with the rest of the world?
Communicate with the leaders first. Make sure that the leaders, the countries involved, must understand your responsibility. If the leaders of the whole structure of the society don't understand, that is the start of your problem. If your leaders supported your work, every leader, every stakeholder, every donor, unitedly with you, then you can do your job. I got one theoretical framework I work with at one professor in Australia. You know that when you deal with designing a strategy in the organization in fighting corruption and all that, you have to scan the whole organization. There are 3 types of organization. One is high risk, medium risk, and low risk. And there is also 3 elements of environment: hostile, challenging, and conducive. You have to really analyze. In the organization that very conducive, like what this organization you have, like yesterday the president talked about, oh my God, that is so easy for you to do job. It's so easy because the boss have given a real green light for you to do. But it is very difficult if you are dealing with a hostile environment. So hostile is very clear, no. You only give lecture, don't go other than. You investigate all those lower, don't go above this level. I'm trying to give some. But the challenging environment, you have to fight. Okay, that is very crucial to scan your organization. Another thing, a lot of people fail because they do not know, they mismatch between high-risk organization and with the strategy that you have. You may have, like China, for example, take it for China and Indonesia. They are the lowest in 1995, I think CPI index. China and Indonesia was the lowest, meaning that the worst level of corruption. What they did, they go on punitive to the maximum. Indeed, China gave to death penalty. Indonesia in 2004, they come up with the most powerful anti-corruption agency, only catch the big fish. Only catch the big fish only, no small fish. And you can see immediately after a few years, the CPI index move up very fast. So the right decision, the right strategy must be used. And secondly, for the investigator, I'm introduced in because I'm an advisor to all the investigators in Malaysia corporate sector. I said, please accept sometime your CEO, your boss, don't want you to be very powerful. They don't want. For whatever reason, they have their own reason and all that. Some people wanted to have a very peaceful environment. They don't want you to shake. So if you wanted to, you can do a kind of work of touch and go. There is work, there is an investigator, you can feel it, but you don't feel scared. That's why you have a small amount of tasks or human resource or investigator. Believe me, you know chili, pepper? The smaller they are, the hotter they is. You know, although it's small, you can become very sting. Focus on the high risk which have high impact to your organization. Don't go on the small case. Go. If there is involved the high ranking, go. But if it has the biggest impact in your organization, go. Because that will make your presence in your organization be very tangibly feel by whole of the community in your organization.
That's a wise advice. Are there any more questions? Here, well, okay. Yeah. Now we have, now I can ask you the other questions that I have, so let's give the space to the audience here.
Thank you very
Please.
much. Onisiphorus from UNRWA. Sir, your lecture today will remain in my heart and my memory forever. Thank you very much for this inspiration. My question, though, is, and excuse my what I'm going to say, I hope it's not too bad, but how do we ensure that we do not rely on heroes like you? How can we systemize this? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I try my best to protect my organization and my people in my organization. First, before 2009, there is nobody oversight the whole organization. We do not have the protector, we call it. So I introduced that there is 5 committee oversight on our work. What does it mean? You have somebody independent looking at you, and anything happen, they will become your protector. It happened. When the Attorney General decided there is no case, the Oversight Committee went to the public and said, that, look, after we look at the case, we request Attorney General to re-look at the case because we believe we are accountant lawyers and one of the members are former Chief Judge of Malaysia. So are you saying that the Chief Judge do not know about the law? So they said that, look, there is a case, please look back at the case. So they become the protector. So when you involve the public, because anti-corruption work, you cannot make a public announcement, you are investigating this guy and what we get. But you can explain to the Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee must be truly independent and people who respected. For former judge, former Transparency International, president, bar council, and all that, they sit and they will protect you. Of course, in this world, you cannot protect physically. Of course, that is something that you You cannot. Although during the task force that we formed, the police give me a few members of police officers. I said, don't, because I have my own task force. I have my own security in the Anti-Corruption Commission to protect me at home. We have a guard at my house and all that. But what most important, I will say with you, as an investigators, be assertive when you deal with people. What it means by assertive? You don't be aggressive, you don't show your power, but you stay with the facts and justice and the truth. Amicably, tell them, I'm doing my job. Create a good communication with those who are under investigation. Don't make them become you trying to find fault on that. You are doing your job. When the top person in my country asked me to do something that against my principle, I told him, sir, it's not that I don't want to do. This, I cannot do it because I cannot do it under the law. I cannot do it because I'm protecting you for international reputation. And I am the vice president of the International Anti-Corruption Authority Association. If I do that, better for me to resign. So I'm very sorry, I cannot do this. I stated very clear, but before that I said, yes, sir, I understand you are angry. I understand you're disappointed. I understand. You recognize his anger, but you also request him to understand you. But we are friends. The Prime Minister that I investigate, I'm very close with him. I got many cases, the person that very close with me are under investigation. But unfortunately, we lost after that. But my reason is very simple. My job is to save millions of people rather than one person who I know very well.
We have 2 more questions, right? Can you pass the microphone here, please? Yeah, here. You have it there. Please. Can you identify yourself, please?
Good evening. I'm Krishna Agarwal, and currently I'm interning with the New Development Bank. And thank you, sir. It was very, very inspirational to learn about it. My question is specifically that when you talked about that everyone has a different center, and I understand it, and when you say that someone can have a principle-based center, but I would like to know it on a deeper level in the sense that there might be instances where you can have different ethical trade-offs, and you are a principle-centered person, so how do you navigate that when both sides are related to ethics and principles?
Thank you. You can bend, but you cannot break. I hope you understand. There are situations you have to bend. For example, a big ship, the principle in the maritime, the big ship, the smaller ship should change the direction. But in the situation when they are dealing with not ship, it's a lighthouse, a small lighthouse. You have to bend. If you don't bend, you'll be destroyed. And certain situations, like me, I understand Attorney General have the power to make decisions under the Constitution. It's not me to call the prosecution. But I tell him that is my decision and my recommendation. If you don't want to charge, that is your discretion and you answer. It's not that I break the law or break my principle. But I tell him, but I recognize what is your power. So there is area that you may bend a little bit. Bend meaning that you don't break your principle. You just absorb it and you understand it. That is my, maybe it's wrong, but that is the way I deal with the situation.
Thank you very much. We're approaching the end. Last question.
Thank you, sir. Really happy to know you, to listen to you, inspiring wisdom, and thank you very much. I have a question for you. What would you give as advice to us if we experience a recurring situation where there is a mismatch between our principles and the culture of our organization?
And culture. Principle and culture, you're saying that. The conflict between principle and culture. That is very, very important. Let me share with you. The first thing that I did was to change the culture. If you do not change the culture, what you're doing will be not united. Okay, but the way I change the culture, I take the best one to become the management, the top management. I was to be frank with you, I was very junior and I was promoted. And most of my subordinate was my ex-bosses at that time. You know, you are very junior, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, they appreciate me. They promote me to become the boss of all the seniors that you work under them before. But what I did, I recognized them. One by one, I called them. And one thing that I mentioned to them, gentlemanly, look, during your time, you are my boss. You have your way of doing your job. Please respect me that now I am the boss. Follow what I'm going to do. So what I do, a lot of communication with the top management. Indeed, on the top 3 management, I got morning prayer with them. Morning prayer is a must because that is the process where you wanted to instill your culture over there. And secondly, we have a heart-to-heart talk. Some of my senior officers, they have their inclination to a certain party, to be frank with you. Some of them are with the opposition, some of them with the government. Then I call them. I said, look, corruption do not have party. They are anti-corruption, are colorblind. Put your sympathy outside the door. And if you put outside the door, then we can do the job. So it takes a lot of time of interaction with the bosses, with the senior officers. Communication, again, is one of the areas can dilute the clash of culture in the organization.
Colleagues, Abu, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the time allocated to our session. First of all, I want to thank you all for believing in the invitation that we extended to you last year. I'm here with you. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Thanks a lot. This is AIIB, and thanks a lot to Witin. Thanks a lot to Alex, but more fundamentally, thank you very much, Andrew, and the entire team. Extraordinary job. Fantastic for what they have done to have us all here. Colleagues, be principle-centered. Bend, but don't break. Be focused and protect your family in the exercise of your function. Thank you very much, Abu. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.